Hello friends, welcome back to the CS Point. In this video, I am going to give the introduction of software engineering. This introductory part will teach the basic concepts of the software engineering and way to develop a software. Here, we are not going to concentrate on the coding part. Rather, we are going to discuss the process involved in developing a software and also how and in what way to deliver the software. This series will help you to know the basic criteria and the systematic approach that one has to follow in the development of software. So let's go to the introduction of software engineering. So before going to the definition of software engineering, let me clear about what is engineering and what is software. So coming to engineering, an engineering definition goes like this. It is an application science, methods and tools which is combined together to form a cost-effective solution. So the output should be a cost-effective solution. And this is what is the definition of engineering. So what is a software? So I am giving you a definition, something like this. Any computer program is called a software. So the statement goes like this. Any computer program is called a software. But this is not the good description or the definition of software, because there can be a computer program that does not perform any useful function either to the user or to the system. Such piece of code cannot be a software. So let us redefine the statement that is given before. So I'm going to give it something like this. Computer program that provides functionality and performance either to the user or to the system. And this will be the exact definition of a software. But according to Roger Pressman, the definition of a software is given like this. The instruction that means computer programs that when executed provide defined function and performance. So this statement tells you that software has to give you a desired functionality and performance. And the second point says that data structures that enables the program to absolutely manipulate information, where it tells us that an essential component is data structures. So here we can understand that data structure being as an essential component of every computer software to maintain the data and in which each program can be easily maintained and accessed. So here the program logic and design depends on what type of data structure that we are using. Okay, and the last one is documents that describes the operations and use of program. So when we talk about documents, the user manuals are one of the documents that describes the operations and use of programs. Here the user manuals are required to understand the working of a software. And we also have design manuals which will tell us or which is used to understand the internal structure of the software, which helps us in maintaining the software. So this is what is the software definition which is given by Roger Pressman. Okay, so we came to know what is software and what is engineering. So now we are seeing about what are the types of software. So software is broadly classified into 7 different types. So if a person or an engineer who wants to develop a software must know about the 7 levels or the 7 broad criteria of a software, and those categories will become the challenging to the engineers when they want to develop a software. Those 7 criteria are system software, real-time software, scientific software, web-based software, personal software, embedded software, and business software. These are the 7 categories of software. Okay, after knowing what is a software and what is an engineering, let's come to the definition of software engineering. So, software engineering is nothing but which encompasses a process, methods for managing and engineering software and tools. Okay, so the same definition which is redefined by IEEE, and the IEEE definition says something like this: a software or application, it is a systematic, disciplined, quantifiable approach to the developmental operation and maintenance of software. So, a software engineering is defined as something, an application of which is done in a systematic way, which has used some discipline and which is quantifiable in the development, operation and maintenance of a software. This is a definition of software engineering. So, what are the characteristics of software engineering? So, it is very important to know the characteristics of software engineering. Any software should be judged by what it offers and what are the methods which helps us to use it. So, every software must satisfy some sort of attributes, and few attributes that has been given as a characteristics here is operational attribute, transitional attribute and the maintenance attributes, and these are considered to be the important characteristics of a software by some professionals. So, let me talk about the operational attribute first. So, what does this operational software does? Operational attribute does? It will tell us to know how well a software works in the operations, and this can be measured using the budgets, efficiency of software, usability of a software, dependability, correctness, functionality of a software, how safe and how security the software is. And coming to the next one, the transitional attribute, this part will be an essential aspect when a software is moved from one platform to another. Okay, so this is an essential aspect when one software is moved from one platform to another, and this can be judged as how interoperability works and how usable a software is, how portable a software is, and how it is adapted in the environment. And the final one is maintenance, and this maintenance talks about how well a software has the capabilities to adapt itself in the quickly changing environment. So, these attributes can be defined as how flexible it is, how it is maintained, the modularity of a software, and how scalable the software is. So, these are considered as a very important characteristics of a software engineer. So, next we are going to see about the process. So, what do you mean by a process? So, I have given a definition for you. The definition goes like this. A process is a series of steps involving activities, constraints and resources that produce a desired and intended output. Okay, a process is defined as a process of series of steps involving activities, constraints, resources which produce an intended output. Okay, so what are these activities? So activities are nothing but, here we have the list of activities that a process has to do. So first, it has to communicate with the customer. It has to communicate with the customer, and then it has to identify the requirements of the customer and check for the feasibility and then it has to analyze the requirements that is identified from the customer, and then make a design according to the identification, develop the software according to the design, test the developed software according to the customer specification and types of errors. Here we are deciding whether to implement the software or to repeat the steps again. So these are the activities that is involved in the process. So first we communicate with the customer, we identify the requirement, we check for the feasibility, we analyze the requirement, we make a design, we develop a software according to the design, we test the developed software, and according to the customer specification and the types of error, we decide whether to implement the software or to repeat the steps again. These are the activities involved in the process. And the next what we have is constraints, because a process is defined with the steps involving attributes, constraints and resources. So the constraints goes like this, which is very essential to know about the requirements. So the requirements should be carefully identified, and next the feasibility should be checked for the suitability of project in terms of software or a hardware requirements, or it can be a cost, or it can be a time. And then the problem should be carefully analyzed and design should be made keeping the reusability in mind, and finally the testing should be done carefully. And the last what we have is resources. So the resources can be a people, hardware, software, equipment, time and money. This is all about a process. So now, what do you mean by a software process? So we came to know what is a process. So now I have a question. What do you mean by a software process? So a software process is nothing but building a software product is actually known as software process. What is software process? Building a software product is actually known as a software process. And this software process is done under the fundamental categories, and that is nothing but using the specification, development, validation and evaluation. These are the fundamental types a software process has to undergo. Each and every software has to undergo. So next what we have is a generic process model. So this generic process model tells us the generic approach of how a process model works. So here we have a process framework and umbrella activities. Under the umbrella activities, we have certain works, tasks and actions. So first let me tell you what is process framework. This generic process framework for a software engineering defines 5 framework activities. And those framework activities are communication, planning, modeling, construction and deployment. So this process framework will define all those 5 framework activities. In addition to that, we have umbrella activities which will tell us about the project tracking and control and risk management, quality assurance, and how we are going to configure and how we are going to manage the software, the technical reviews about the software, and all these are applied throughout the process. That tells about the umbrella activities. So under umbrella activities, we have also the actions and the various tasks which are involved inside, and we have to know how these framework activities and the action and tasks that occur within each activity are organized. So this has to be organized with respect to some sequence and time. Okay. So that some sequence and time will, we have to know how it is measured or how it is organized. So that is done using this process flow. So with respect to the sequence and time, the process is going to flow. So these are the 4 different flows that a process undergoes, and they are linear process flow, iterative process flow, evolutionary process flow, and the last one is parallel process flow. So let me tell you what is linear process flow. So linear process flow is nothing but which executes each of the 5 activities in sequence. As I told you, we have 5 frameworks: communication, planning, modeling, construction, and deployment. This linear process flow will execute each of the 5 activities in sequence, that is one after the other. Communication, after communication, planning, after planning it comes to modeling, and after modeling it comes to construction, and then finally to the deployment. So this is called as a linear process flow. And the next what we have is iterative process flow. Under iterative process flow, what it does, it repeats one or more of the activities before proceeding to the next. Okay, so that we call it as iterative process as defined in the diagram. And the next what we have is evolutionary process flow, and this is called as the complete version of a software. So in this evolutionary process flow, this executes the activities in a circular manner, and each circuit leads to a more complete version of a software. And the final one is parallel process flow, which executes one or more activities in parallel. So from the communication, it goes either to planning and to modeling too. So here it executes one or more activities in parallel with each other activities. Okay, so this is called as parallel process flow. So next what we have is pattern. So we came to know what is a process and how does it flow. And next we will come to know what is a process pattern. So this process pattern is defined like this. It describes a process related problem that is encountered during software engineering work. It identifies the environment in which the problem has been encountered, and it suggests one or more proven solution to the problem. This is how it defines. So what is a process pattern? It is nothing but it describes a process related problem that is encountered during a software engineering work, and that will be identified in which environment the problem has been encountered, and it suggests some proven solution to the problem. So simply in the general terms, I can say that a process pattern will provide you with a template, and that is all about process pattern. And this process pattern is of 3 types, namely stage pattern, task pattern, and phase pattern. So how does this patterns help us? So first let me tell about stage pattern. Stage pattern, this will define a problem associated with the framework activity for the process. Okay, so this will be concentrating only with the framework activity of the process. And the task pattern, this will define a problem associated with the software engineering action or a work task which is relevant to a successful software engineering practice. Okay, and the final one, phase pattern, this will define the sequence of framework activities that occur with the process, even when the overall flow of activities is iterative in each. Okay, so this is how this pattern types will help us when we are developing a software. So next what we have is how do we assess the process and how do we improve our process. Okay, so these are the 4 assessment methods that a software undergoes. So they are the standard CMMI assessment method for process improvement, CMM based appraisal for internal process improvement, SPICE, and International Standard Organization. And in this way, a process methods will be assessed and they will be improved. So let me tell you about standard CMMI assessment method for process improvement first. This will provide a 5-step process assessment model that will incorporate 5 phases, something like initiating, diagnosing, establishing, acting, and then learning. These are the 5 process assessment model which is incorporated in CMI assessment method. The next one what we have is CMM based appraisal for internal process improvement. This will provide a diagnostic technique for assessing the relative maturity of a software organization. This uses SEI CMM as the basis for the assessment. And the next one what we have is SPICE, and this standard defines a set of requirements for the software. Okay, this will give you a set of requirements for a software process assessment. The intent of this standard is to assist organization in developing an objective evaluation of the efficacy of any defined software process. So the last one is International Standard Organization, and this standard organization can be applied to any organization that wants to improve the overall quality of the products or the systems or the services that it provides. Okay, so that is what is called as an Internal Standard Organization. Thank you for watching. Thank you.